Early modules weren't just adventures, they were training aids. And I want to talk about it today on Greyhawk Grognard. And just a reminder that this is a collaboration I'm doing with Eric Tenkar, Joe the lawyer, and for this month only, Don Zamora. He's our fourth wheel. So if you're watching my video on their channels, please like and subscribe to me. And if you're watching their videos on my channel, please give them a like and subscribe as well. That said, let's go on with the show. Back in the earliest days of D&D, back in like 74, 75, there weren't any real explanations for how you're supposed to play the game. You were supposed to learn the game from other people who already knew how to play it. It was kind of growing virally, especially on college campuses and wargaming clubs. Um, Very soon in the process, though, TSR realized that they should do something about that and actually produce something to help players learn how to play the game by playing the game rather than learning it from somebody else. And so I want to talk about some of these efforts. There were the two ones that come to mind most, clearly on this are B1 In Search of the Unknown and B2 Keep on the Borderlands. These were this one especially, Keep on the Borderlands by Mike Carr, who was an educator and was brought in to produce something just like this. Um, so this was 1979, and it gives at the very beginning, because the module itself doesn't even start until page 7 or 8, depending on how you're counting it. So the first 6 or 7 pages is literally just how to play. So it goes from an introduction to notes from for the dungeon master, which is more than half a page, almost a whole page of just how to run the game. We have preparation for the use of this module, which is 2 pages on how to set everything up for the players. What they should be doing, what kind of tasks need to be done. Sort of like to start the adventure, the players must decide on an order of march for all the characters in the group. One player in the group should be designated as the caller. The player or players mapping the area should use graph paper. The fundamentals, the things that today we would just take for granted. Hell, in 1985 we took these things for granted. But back in the day, having all this stuff spelled out was invaluable. Time, the DM is responsible for keeping track of time, computing experience. How do you do that? How do you split it up? What happens if somebody gets the magic item? How to be an effective dungeon master. This is pretty much almost a whole page of just tips on DMing. Um, uh, as Dungeon Master, you will enjoy watching players wrestle with the problems you present them with. Um, Although you may set up situations to challenge them, you must understand that you are not their adversary, nor are you necessarily out to defeat them. You will enjoy moderating a well played game where players respond to the challenges encountered much more than one where the adventurers foolishly meet their demise in quick time. Um, uh, in many cases, a danger due to lack of caution can be overcome, or a mistake in judgment can be countered by quick thinking and resourcefulness. But let your players do the thinking and the doing. It's just great stuff. How to use this module, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, because obviously this was for Dungeons and Dragons, and I got this actually with my copy of Holmes Basic, which is a fantastic version of the game, especially for beginners. Dungeon masters who wish to employ the module with AD&D will have no problem utilizing the 2 level maps and the descriptive copy. The legend table will be used. The DM can disregard the various lists of monsters, treasures, and non-player characters and make appropriate substitutions using the greater and more challenging ideas of his own, which will match the greater experience of his AD&D players. So the idea was that you would graduate from basic to advanced to Dungeons and Dragons, and then it goes into the background of the module itself. So and the structure of the module. This one is unique because it gives you the rooms and it gives you the descriptions, it gives you the maps, but you as the DM are expected to populate them with monsters and treasures, and they have like these letters. Number five is giant centipedes. Number 21 is an ochre jelly, that kind of thing. And for the treasures, N is 2,450 copper pieces. Y is a silver mirror worth 90 gold pieces, that kind of thing. So you would just, if you were expected to put this monster and this treasure in the room, and you would do that for the whole dungeon. For the time, it was quite innovative. And then we also have, along those similar lines, we have B1. I'm sorry, B2. Keep on the Borderlands by Gary Gygax. And obviously, this is one that a lot more people are going to be acquainted with. But if I can open this stupid thing, here we have um, the, the same kind of thing. We have the usual introduction, notes for the dungeon master. The keep is a microcosm, a world in miniature. Within its walls, your players will find what is basically a small village with a social order, and meet opponents, and will meet opponents of a sort. Outside lies the way to the caves of chaos, where monsters abound. As you build the campaign setting, you can use this module as a guide. Humankind and its allies have established strongholds, whether fortresses or organized countries, where the player's character will base themselves, interact with society, and occasionally encounter foes. Surrounding these strongholds are lands which may be hostile to the bold adventurers. And so right there, you just in that one little half paragraph, you're getting this entire idea of this is how you should set up your campaign world. It's really amazing, but then it goes into more practical things, how the monster and NPC stat blocks are set up. It gives what the armor classes are, how to use the combat tables, how to move in combat, um, uh, just all kinds of things, and just general how to use the dice. And it encourages the DM, to make modifications and so forth. And then it keeps going on. And now we have the same sort of material that we saw in B1: how to be an effective dungeon master, how to do time, how to divide treasure and compute experience, how to prepare to use the module. Um, Before the players enter the keep, the DM may privately give each player one rumor about the caves of chaos. This is all this stuff. Again, we took this for granted. We take that for granted now. At the time, you needed this if you were a player. You were just starting out as a player. This was innovative, necessary stuff at the time, because not everybody could learn from somebody who already knew how to play. So those were two modules that were explicitly set out to to help the players and the DM in how to play the game. But there were other modules out there that still taught lessons, and but did so by example rather than spelling everything out. And I'm going to take one of the another early module, one that I'm very fond of, obviously, is Village of Hommlet. And this gives you a perfect example of a starting area for any campaign. Just like in B2, where you can use the keep as a microcosm, and it goes on, it tells you about, this is the safe place, the outside is the dangerous place. This does the same thing, in my estimation, a little better, a little more fun, because it gives you all that background material that brings the scenario to life. So you have the one village in the middle, you have a dungeon not too far away, and then you have the promise of a larger dungeon further away than that. So having that layout, that vision of how this is how you're going to do a campaign, it teaches by example. Same thing with the level of detail that you have for the village. Every villager is detailed. They all have names. They all have, this is how much treasure they have. This is who they're allied with. Having that level of detail was in and of itself a lesson for the DM, that if you want to do this for your starting area, you should have this level of detail already set up. Now, another really old one that is a favorite of mine, Steading of the Hill Giant Chief. This gives the same other sorts of lessons, but it's still a one that teaches by example, and it's only 8 pages, so you got to bear that in mind when you're talking about this. And it gives you the lesson of brevity, and also the lesson of how to create a living, breathing dungeon environment, because it does go in. It gives you what is it? Tables for what's in the giant's bags. It gives the wandering monsters. and how how you're supposed to work with them. But it gives an example of a living, breathing area. There's a kitchen, there's places for everybody to live, there's barracks, there's um, uh, this is where the slaves are. It really gives you an idea of all the things that you need to think about when you're creating a dungeon that isn't just a ruin. If you're creating a living, breathing setting, then you need to think through all of these things. Where do people sleep? Where do they eat? Well, where do they keep the food? Why are these escaped slaves able to stay away from the giants? Little things like that really add to the realism of this scenario. They're all covered in here, and it's all given to you for example. The other Giants modules do that wonderfully too. So you have that other way of teaching how to do things. So maybe it's a little more subtle and it's a little more advanced, but it's still a necessary skill for a dungeon master to have. So there we are. Just a few examples of how these early modules taught us how to play, essentially. And you'll notice a lot of this stuff makes its way into later AD&D rule books, right? Because the Dungeon Master's Guide was being at least composed around this time that these came out, and you see some of those lessons from In Search of the Unknown made their way into the text. So it's a fascinating glimpse into the early development of role playing. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know what you think of the comments. What rules have you learned from other modules? Maybe one I didn't cover here. I'd love to hear it. Please sound off in the comments. Hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful day, and I'll talk to you all later. Thanks for watching today's video. Please remember to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Below you'll find links to my Patreon, which helps make these videos possible. You'll also find the web store where you can buy my books, and my blog where you'll find all sorts of free downloads and other articles. Thanks, and have a great day.